Summer 1962. We, my mother, 4 sisters, assorted friends and teenage cousins, a pair of aunts, and a summer's worth of gear, clothes, and books, mostly mine, crammed into a 2-car convoy and headed north to Smithers. Our father was already there. We knew he was working on Hudson Bay Mountain, the glacier we called it. Though the words exploration and minerals floated past us, we didn't know what Dad did when he was working. We didn't know where the glacier or the mountain was. We didn't know where Smithers was. We didn't know that we were headed for paradise. Our home was to be a 2-story log house, built without the use of hammer or nail over 100 years ago. In front, Seymour Lake. In back, the outhouse, a couple of barns, and the fields where Chips and Lady lived. Behind that, 40 acres of bush and trails where we rode whenever we weren't in the water. My cowgirl tendencies may have been established a little earlier, but those summers influenced the path of my life over all the years that followed. Everything was new, from the places we went to the people we met and the stories they told. Lefty and Billy Gardner, who lent us their home. The Marcos, who lent us Chips and Lady. Lyle Flint, who brought fresh milk with the cream on top every morning when he came to pick up Dad. They were storytellers, but I wasn't listening. My own world, reading, swimming, and riding, squabbles with my sisters, and preoccupation with boys, occupied my attention. When I remember that time, the sky is always blue, the sun always shining. We were in the water or on horseback all day long. I dream a little deeper and remember day after day of rain. Too wet to swim or ride, we were trapped indoors. Country and western music on the record player, my young sisters playing, the older girls doing their hair. I don't remember what my mother and my aunts were doing. There was always time for sitting around the big table, playing cards, talking, and visiting. I was reading. Stacks of books borrowed from the library on our weekly trip to town. In the endless volumes of horse and dog books I consumed, the settings were as important as the stories. The island kingdom of the Black Stallion, the great white north of Call of the Wild and White Fang, the Wyoming rangeland of My Friend Flicka and Thunderhead. Stories, in the books, in the talk of ranchers and miners and women, of haying and putting up preserves, of float planes and exploration, with country and western songs playing in the background, stories took hold and set me on my path. Over the years, the cowgirl life I constructed from those stories came close to coming true many times. As the fantasy faded, the love of family and friends, of animals and the wilderness grew stronger. Those memories did not fade. They are so close in my mind's eye that it takes my breath away and puts an ache in my heart. That special time I learned to appreciate long after it was gone is part of the story that is mine to give, and a cabin on a lake with a couple of horses back in the bush and stories to share will always be my idea of paradise.